Can't pay rent during November? It's easy to forget in all this election madness that there are still people who can't pay rent due to COVID-19. In fact, for a lot of people, life has gotten a lot tougher as time has continued to move on. We have been doing these videos every month and we'll continue to do them as long as they're needed. And it's time for our November update. We got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to give you an unemployment update in the state of California. We're going to tell you the last few sources of money out there for tenants looking for help. And then we're going to go through AB 3088, which brought big changes to evictions. And we'll discuss what tenants and landlords have to do if a tenant can't pay rent due to COVID-19. My name's Christian Walsh. I'm with Coldwell Banker Wire Associates, and we specialize in helping tenants and landlords, buyers and sellers in the state of California and beyond. Don't forget, we can't give tax or legal advice. All right, let's jump into the unemployment numbers. So things have gotten a little bit better. The good news is it does look like unemployment is heading in the right direction. It dropped in September to 11% in the state of California, which is still a crazy high number, but it is a drop from the peak. We were over 13% in the state of California at one point in time. During these tough times, the claims for unemployment have gone through the roof. In the past 7.5 months since the beginning of the pandemic, EDD has filled 15.8 million claims in the state of California. This is over 4 times more than the previous peak of 3.8 that we saw in 2010. This is over 4 times as much. So these are big, big numbers. Unfortunately, when we look at large metro areas like Los Angeles, Long Beach, Anaheim, so that covers LA and Orange County, we have unemployment numbers that are way up. We're at 13.6%, which is the second highest in the nation. We're just behind Vegas. That's the only large metro area that has higher unemployment. So there's a few more sources out there for money, and this is for both tenants and landlords. The biggest source has been unemployment through EDD. The state of California, as mentioned, has paid out huge numbers of claims, and they're prepared to continue the claims coming. In fact, they're willing to extend an additional 7 weeks if you're running out of claim time. There was a $600 extra week payment through the CARES Act, and then a $300 extra payment through executive order, but those have all since expired. So the EDD is the biggest source of funds to help folks get through these tough times. There is, through the Small Business Administration, the EIDL. This loan is still taking applications, and this is a great one for landlords who can apply to get funds that will help carry them through the tough times of coronavirus if they can demonstrate that they've lost rent. Tenants as well, if you've lost income due to coronavirus, you can apply for the EIDL through the SBA, and there's a link below. Don't forget, there's a few local municipalities that have funds. Los Angeles, Irvine, other cities, Costa Mesa. Make sure you check in with the city websites to see, but there have been several distributions of funds, including recently, that have helped, especially for tenants who haven't been able to pay rent, and those funds were paid directly to landlords. So both landlords and tenants, make sure you do the research into those. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's another stimulus package in sight until we get through this election madness, and then maybe on the other side, we'll see one before the end of the year. Let's dive into eviction update. So if you remember, and if you've been watching my videos, you'll remember that the Judicial Council put in place an eviction moratorium that was affecting all evictions in the state of California. And that was started as of April 6th, and it ran through most of the summer. Then an important bill was passed that changed evictions again. That is AB 3088. And we've done lots of content on that, and we'll keep the content coming. But that is specifically for tenants who can't pay rent due to COVID-19. AB 3088 allows other evictions to move forward, which had been frozen under the Judicial Council's rule. But it does prevent tenants from being evicted if they can't pay rent due to COVID-19. There is a requirement going forward. It started in September. This bill was passed 8/31 and went into effect on September 1st. Going forward, September, October, November through January 31st, a tenant is expected to pay a minimum of 25% of rent. but this rent, this 25% of monthly rent, is not due technically until the end of January 2021. The other important thing that a landlord and tenant must do is a landlord is now required to deliver a 15-day notice for non-payment of rent and a blank declaration that the tenant will sign and return. So the tenant has 15 days, not including weekends and court holidays, to fill out the declaration, simply sign it, and get it back to the landlord. If the tenant does this, they cannot be evicted due to non-payment of rent due to COVID-19. Now this is set to expire January 31st, 2021. And again, all that rent, the 25% of monthly rent, is due by that date as well. From then on, February 1st, if a tenant doesn't pay rent and there are no additional extensions, the tenant can be evicted at that point in time. If the tenant does not pay the 25% minimum, the tenant can also be evicted as well after that date. So starting February 2021. What happens to all the back rent that was owed? And this could go back all the way to the beginning in March. That becomes a rental debt that the owner of the property will have to take the tenant to small claims court to recover. And they've put in special provisions so that there's no maximum now that a landlord can recover for back rent, for rental debt in a small claims court. So that's what happens to rent now. So tenants, if you're not going to be able to pay rent, make sure you return that declaration. Landlords, make sure you deliver that 15-day notice for non-payment of rent and the blank declaration. And the AOA, the Apartment Association, was kind enough to actually offer those forms for free. We have a link below so that you can download those forms and make sure that they're given to tenants appropriately. So in addition to abiding by AB 3088, let's take it month by month, day by day. It's been a long, long haul for a lot of tenants and landlords. Don't forget, tenants, that while you've lost income due to COVID-19, landlords who aren't paid rent, they're losing income due to COVID-19. So let's work together on this. Let's be compassionate, and let's make sure we follow the letter of the law related to AB 3088 going forward. We hope you found this video helpful. We know it was a quick one, but we know a lot of people are out there still suffering. We're sorry to hear that. Please feel free to leave your comments below with your specific scenarios. We can't give tax or legal advice. We can give you our non-legal opinion, and then we can also help you find legal advice. Look below for a video where we help you find free or low-cost legal advice. And we will keep this content coming. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And we also have an email newsletter we'd love to have you subscribe to as well. So you'll find that link below. This has been Christian Walsh, Coldwell Banker Wire Associates. We appreciate you and we wish you nothing but the best out there right now.